right, before we start actually going into point slope to slope intercept and standard, we need to talk about standard a little bit more. So standard notation is AX plus BY equals C, and we've been doing that for a while. Here's the biggie though. Our coefficients, our numbers, they have to be integers. Have to be integers. That's a fancy way of saying no fractions. Okay? Another biggie is that A has to be positive. So the leading coefficient needs to be positive. So this A needs to be positive. Okay? Let's do a couple with that, and then we'll actually go into the other one. So example number 1. If they gave you y equals 7x plus 1. All right, and I want to put it into standard. I would subtract 7x, negative 7x plus y equals 1. So do I have fractions? No. Is my a positive? No. So since my a is not positive, I have to take this entire thing and multiply by negative 1, which is essentially the same thing as changing all of the signs. So this now becomes a 7x, a minus y, and a negative 1. Right? Because all the signs just changed. This went from a negative 7x to a positive 7x. This went to a positive y to a negative y. This went from 1 to negative 1. So now this is in standard. Another way that you could see is like this. Let's just do 2/3 x minus 4y equals, I don't know, 6. Okay, so it's almost in standard, but I have to ask myself, do I have any fractions? Yes. Okay, so if you have fractions, you have fractions, you multiply everything by the denominator. And I'll show you what that looks like. All right, so I'm going to take this entire thing, the entire equation, and I'm going to multiply by the denominator, which is 3. So I'm going to multiply by 3. So now I have to do Dixie on steroids because she's got to multiply everything. So 3 times 2/3, essentially the 3's just cancel, really. So that's just 2x. 3 times negative 4y is a negative 12y. And then don't forget to go all the way over here. 3 times 6 is 18. That is now in standard. One more, like this. 4/5, sorry, so make it a negative. Negative 4/5 x minus 2/5 y equals 10. Okay, so I asked myself, do I have fractions? Yes, so I need to get rid of the fraction. I also have a negative a, and I want to get rid of that. So I'm going to multiply everything by a negative, and I'm going to multiply it by the denominator, which in both of my fractions is 5. Now I distribute. All right, so my negative 5's cancel, and my negative and negative is a positive, so I have a positive 4x, right? You can always put that in your calculator if you wanted to. Okay, and a negative is a positive. My 5's cancel, leaving me with that 2y. And then over here, negative 5 times 10 is negative 50. Before I finish, do I have any fractions? No. Is my a positive? Yes. Final answer. All right, so let's do a couple like what we were doing in class. Oops. Example 4. All right. Write all linear equations for these two numbers and -7, 9. I don't know. Let's just do those two. All right, I'm given 2 points. Remember, like we talked in class today, if I'm given 2 points, the only thing I can really do is find slope. So m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. 9 minus a -1 over -7 minus 3. Okay, 2 negatives is a positive. 9 plus 1 is 10. -7 minus 3 is a -10. 10 divided by -10 is -1. All right, so I immediately write down that my m is equal to -1. Now remember, at this point, you get to decide which point you want to take. I always take the first one. Just for me personally, it seems easier. So 3, -1. Now I'm going to go into point slope. I have a point, I have slope. I'm going to use point slope. Okay, so y minus a -1 equals -1 times x minus 3. Once I make that a plus, now I'm good. This is point slope form. Now I'm going to convert it into slope intercept. I distribute. -1 times x is -1x, or just negative x. -1 times -3 is a positive 3. And I subtract by 1. Y is equal to -x plus 2. That is now slope intercept. To convert into standard, I need my x on the other side, so I add by x. Those go away. X plus y equals 2. Before I go, is my x positive? Yes. Do I have any fractions? No. So I'm good. This is standard form. Here's another one. Is it, oh, I don't know what this is. Is it 5, 6? I don't know. All right, let's say they give us a table. And they want us to write an equation. Actually, just make that 0, sorry. 2, 4. And then over here, I'm going to do 3, 6, 9, 12. Okay, and they say write all linear equations. Okay, so I start by finding my pattern, right? Because I can find slope from a table. So I'm adding 2. Over here, I'm adding 3. My slope is y over x, which is a positive 3 over a positive 2. So my slope is 3/2. And at this point, you can decide which point you want to take. It's up to you. I'm going to take the top point. -2, 3. All right, so now we start by using point slope form. Y minus y1 equals mx minus x1. Y minus 3 equals 3/2 x minus a -2. Okay, make that a plus. This is now in point slope form. When I distribute, or actually y minus 3, now I'm going to distribute. 3/2 divided by x is 3/2 x. 3 times 2 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is a positive 3. I add 3. Y equals 3/2 x plus 6. This is now slope intercept. And then I finally subtract, and I'm going to put it in standard. So I subtract 3/2 x on both sides. Those go away. I'm left with negative 3/2 x plus y equals a positive 6. Do I have a positive x? No. So I know immediately that I'm going to multiply everything by a negative. Do I have any fractions? Yes. So I need to multiply by the denominator, which is 2. Okay, so negative 3, or negative and a negative is a positive. The 2's cancel, leaving me with 3x. Negative 2 times y is a negative 2y. And negative 2 times 6 is negative 12. This is standard. All right? And then remember, if you go back up to point slope here, if you look at that table, the y-intercept is 6, right? The slope is 3/2, the y-intercept is 6. Looky, looky. The y-intercept is 6. So it is true. All right, here's your practice problems. For every single one, I want you to write in point slope, then the slope intercept, then the standard. Okay? Every single one of them. Number 1, if your m is negative 2 and it's the point 4, negative 1. 2, through the points 7, negative 4, and 3, negative 4. 3, through the points negative 1, 0, and 4, 1. 2, negative 6, and negative 5, negative 8. And then lastly, over here with number 5, let's do a table. All right, let's do negative 4, 0, 4, 8, 12. And then let's do, sorry, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. All right, hopefully that's good. All right, have these ready for tomorrow.